Oh, Flavia, let's go. The luck has started from the free-to-play account. Oh, Gustav. Oh my god, that's amazing. Fallen Gustav, attack smoke 4. Dude, I'm gonna fodder him to my Resplendent Eldigan. Oh, this is plus attack 2. I actually want to see like a different kind of seasonal banner. Maybe something that relates to the real world or something. I think what they're going to be doing is a Swordmaster theme where everyone is a sword infantry unit. No, I'm just kidding. That would be absolutely not very good. Oh, Dreama. Damn, okay. Just in time for the Destined Counter Sacred Seal that he absolutely does not need. And I think Matthew and Layla definitely want that. So it's kind of strange to me that they didn't end up getting a duo unit. Oh, as I'm wishing for Matthew and Layla as duo, Nina is just gonna be showing up here. Oh my god, I'm gonna get Tiki on my first batch. Let's go. I was expecting like a staff version of Crom being in. Oh my god, I just start talking about these units and they just get summoned. That is amazing. Colorless is pretty much the way to go anyways. And it is gonna be Nina. Okay, Nina's day. Oh, Gustav, another one. Oh my god. Oh, Flavia, another one. I did summon a Flavia a couple of days back. Honestly, I've got so many Ninas out of these 4-star special summons that she's at +6 now. And oh, I'm gonna get Hugh. Another Hugh. Okay.
Humongous one.
I mean, very easier to get the focus unit out of the green color than the red color, honestly. And I'm gonna get Pirate Veronica. Let's go. So that is a good free summon right there. At least one of the Hues is gonna be getting foddered immediately.
Yeah, boy!
Boom. A child.
Her art is really nice. Just wish Matthew was here, but maybe next year. Or maybe next year. And am I gonna be getting Nina from this account as well? I don't really think so. It is colorless hell. Oh man, this is sad. Matthew showing up as the final summon of this video. Poor Matthew, just trying to get reunited with Layla. Sledgering On becomes a top tier archer yet again with this weapon refine and remix. He's easily one of the best tank busters now because of his refine. So with this refine he can now get plus in attack and speed in combat, and he can deal true damage based on 25% of foes' defense. So the more bulkier foes that he's going to be facing, the more true damage he's going to be doing. He also has Null Guard effect, which allows him to trigger Lunar Flash 2 on the second hit, which is really good for dealing with a lot of the foes, because Lunar Flash 2 becomes a better Deadeye after his remix, and he can also get Wind Sweep effect if it's got 5 more speed than the opponent. Summer Legion takes a bit of inspiration from her original version's weapon refine and also the weapon of Ascended Legion. So now she is a pretty good offensive unit that can stack up a lot of attack and speed, and she of course has this dive bomb effect in her weapon. So with this refine, she's able to get +5 attack and speed in combat, and again she has got the dive bomb effect, but the HP threshold of this has become a bit better. So if she's just about 25% HP, then she's able to get this. She can get +5 attack and speed on top of it and get even more attack and speed depending on 40% of the total buffs on herself and the foe. And finally, she's able to get player phase null follow up if she has got 10 more speed than the opponent. Naga gets her long awaited remix and refine, which makes her into a much better support unit and also improves her combat significantly. So now with this refine, Naga can provide +3 to all of these stats in combat to her dragon allies and any kind of ally who has got effective against dragon's effect in 4 spaces. So the range is quite huge of this skill, and it's quite easy to get the effective against dragon with her own divine fang. So this provides a nice way of supporting her allies without really doing much. She can get more stats in combat depending on the dragon allies and allies with effective against dragons in 4 spaces. And finally, she also gets Dragon's Wrath 3.5 pretty much with this refine. She also gets a remix to her Divine Fang Plus. It still has the 1 space range for the effective against dragon effect, which is a bit underwhelming honestly. I wish it also got upgraded to 2 spaces. But in any case, she definitely gets even more support with this skill, and now she can give +6 attack and speed and the player phase guaranteed follow-up attack to herself and allies within 2 spaces of her. So Mufasa ends up getting a pretty nice weapon refine to his Lion King Fang, and he can function so much better now as an enemy phase unit. So he still gets +4 to all of his stats in combat with this weapon, and now he can get 70% damage reduction against foes' follow-up attacks and also AoE specials. And with this refine, he's able to get -5 attack and defense debuff on the opponent in combat, and he also gets a guaranteed follow-up attack, which is huge because he doesn't have to rely on his fighter skills to get the follow-up attacks. And finally, if he's transformed, then he's able to get extra attack, defense, and resistance in combat based on 25% of foes' visible attack stat, subtracted by -8. Mufasa with this weapon refine ends up becoming a pretty solid far-safe tank, especially when he has got the freedom to run Hardy Fighter and still get the double attacks with this weapon, and he can also run Special Fighter if he wants to, but Hardy Fighter is almost always going to be better. Hilda gets a pretty unique weapon refine that can make her into a good support unit and also make her function better in the combat. And above that, this weapon refine is just so in character to her. So now with Free Kugel weapon refine, she can get +11 attack and speed in combat. So basically there are 2 parts of this weapon. One where Hilda is lazy, and the second part where Hilda is not lazy. So where she's lazy is the part where she can provide the support to her allies. So if she's not entered in any kind of combat in that phase, or if the allies within 2 spaces have got more defense than Hilda, then she's able to provide them with +4 to all of their stats in combat, and also provides the drive follow-up negation. And the refined part where she's not lazy, she's able to get 10% true damage based on her speed, and also gets extra attack and speed, which I've already included before. And finally, with this weapon refine, she's able to get 40% damage reduction on foes' first attack. So Hilda becomes a pretty unique support ally for many of the tanks, which don't really have the follow-up negation effect like Brave Hector or Ascended Idun and some of the other preferred weapon users, and she can also work better in combat and even as a hybrid unit. Keaton gets an amazing weapon refine that increases his versatility while also just doubling down on his strength. Now, with his refine, he's able to get the tempo effect, which all of the modern infantry base units have. And with his refine, he's able to pretty much get lull attack defense, and then finally, he can get +1 special cooldown charge on his own attacks. So that special acceleration can not only help him with Vantage and Gale Force, but also for tanking. So on the surface level, it might seem like Keaton does not have the most insane refine, but as someone who uses both Gale Force strategies and Vantage strategies, this refine is actually really solid. Rudger gets a pretty decent weapon refine that can make him a lot more viable, and it can bring him up to the speed with the modern sword infantry units, and he's also a free to play unit, so he definitely has that accessibility. So this weapon refine gives him -1 special cooldown and also +1 attack and speed in combat. He can also get special charges on both his own attacks and foes' attacks if he has got more speed than the opponent. And finally, with this weapon refine, he can get speed based damage reduction, which can go all the way up to 40%. So Lonku is a Gen 1 sword infantry unit with Solitary Blade as his preferred weapon. So this is a pretty old refine which hasn't really aged well, and the best part of this refine is definitely the -1 special cooldown. Lonku unfortunately doesn't have the highest base attack, and after Resplendent, at least he can get up to base 31, and with some merges and dragon flowers, he can definitely have a decent enough attack stat. But the timing of Lonku is definitely pretty interesting because we just got Rudger getting his weapon refine, so just like with a lot of Gen 1 units, there's really not much of an incentive to invest into Lonku unless you really like him. Ephraim is a Gen 1 Lance Infantry unit with 2 weapons, Segment and Flame Segment. So he's one of the few units who was able to get the legendary weapon from his alt, and that is the reason why he is one of the better Gen 1 units. So Flame Segment is absolutely the weapon you should be using, even though it will take you more divine dues. As for his stats, he has got pretty high HP after the Resplendent stats, and base 37 attack is pretty decent for the modern times, so you can definitely work with that, and his defense is also workable. So if you're a big fan of him, you can definitely invest into him and make him into a pretty fun unit.
Okay, let's go.
So this time she is a colorless dagger cavalier with shadowy quill as her preferred weapon. So this has got Canto Recall built into it, which means that after any kind of action, she can return to her starting position. This weapon can provide her with +3 attack, and if she initiates combat or if she's within 2 spaces of an ally, then she can get the adaptive damage. She can also get +6 attack and speed in combat, and then she can deal true damage based on the higher of her own buffs or the debuffs on opponent stats. So this duo skill can allow her to move 1 space, and she can debuff any kind of foes for -7 to all of their stats and panic if they are in the cardinal direction of her or if they've got any kind of penalty active on them. Thief Layla is a red mage flyer this time around with Soothing Scent as her preferred weapon. This has got Canto Ally 2 built into it, so after any kind of action of hers, she can move to a space adjacent to any kind of ally within 2 spaces. This weapon can give her -1 special cooldown, so Moonbow becomes a 1-turn special, and she can also get +6 attack and speed in combat. And if she's got more speed than the opponent, then the foe cannot make a counterattack. And after the combat, she can deal 10 damage to her target and any kind of foe within 2 spaces of that target. Layla also has a new skill in Defense Res Smoke 3, so this can inflict -7 defense and resistance debuff on the target foe and the foes within 2 spaces of them, and also gives +6 attack buff to herself and any ally within 2 spaces of her. It also gives the Pathfinder effect to Layla. Thief Soth is the 4-star focus unit of this banner, and he's a green dagger flyer with Florid Knife Plus as the inedible weapon. This has got the flat Canto 1 built into it, and it can also provide him with +5 attack and speed in combat. Overall, Soth can function as an offensive flyer with his stat spread and this weapon, but this year Summer Claude has definitely set the standards pretty high for a 4-star focus, and he was also a dagger flyer. Thief Kath is a blue mage cavalier with Lofty Leaflet as her preferred weapon. This also has Canto 3x3 built into it. This weapon does give her +3 speed, and she can also get +6 attack and speed in combat, and also deal true damage based on 15% of her speed. And finally, she also has Freya's Binding Necklace built into this weapon. Kat doesn't really stand out that much in terms of nuking potential, but like a lot of mages and mage cavaliers, she's going to be struggling to get past a lot of the common far-safe tanks, especially if they run Hardy Fighter and Deflect Magic. Rickard was the Tempest Trial reward from this patch, and he is a sword flyer with 176 BST with Florid Cane Plus as his preferred weapon. Florid Cane Plus does have Neotrace built into it, and it also provides you with +5 attack and speed in combat, and he is basically like a side grade to Tanith. He's like the Grail version of Tanith pretty much. And this time he changes fate by being a Lance Cavalier, and he has got his preferred weapon, Geardrifle, which gives him -1 special cooldown, and it also has effective damage against armored units. And for each bonus and penalty status, you're going to be getting more stats ×2. And he can also reduce the damage from foe's first attack by 40%. And finally, if he has got any kind of bonus status or any kind of visible buff on him, he can get special charges per attack. So he has got a fate changed, so you can reposition an ally and still get an action. The main power of this assist is the fact that Crom can take any kind of active bonus from the target ally for himself. Brave Female Violet schools her enemies, this time as a colorless mage flyer, and she's got Inner Wellspring as her preferred weapon. This provides her with -1 special cooldown, and if she's within 2 spaces of an ally, then she can get Null Follow-Up status effect for 1 turn, and she can also get the Time Pulse effect. The secondary part of her weapon is always going to be active in the player phase, so she can get +5 to all of her stats, and she can also get a mini special spiral effect which can give her 1 cooldown after the combat. And to get this effect in the enemy phase, she needs to be within 2 spaces of an ally. So Divine Pulse along with her weapon gives her an amazing playstyle where she can hit really hard with this special and also have deceptive amount of bulk because of its damage reduction, and especially how it's not pierceable by Deadeye and Lethality. Brave Seliph illuminates the battlefield as a Sword Cavalier this time, and he has got his preferred weapon, Holy Tide Tearfang. So this weapon does have Flat Canto 2 built into it. He also has -1 special cooldown in this weapon. For Brave Seliph's weapon to activate, either him or the foe has to initiate combat after moving a space. If they're not going to be moving at all, then he's not going to be able to get the weapon's effect, and he also deals true damage based on the number of spaces moved by whoever initiated the combat. And finally, with this weapon, he also has the miracle effect built into it, and he can only get the miracle if he's above 25% HP, and he also needs the opponent or himself to be moved a space in order to activate this. Brave Tiki roars into the battlefield as a green infantry dragon, and she can function as a pretty amazing omni tank with her weapon Remote Breath. So this provides her with -1 special cooldown, and this also has effective damage against dragons built in. And if she's within 3 spaces of an ally, she can get +5 to all of her stats and also a guaranteed follow-up attack. And if her attack can trigger her special, then she can give herself -1 special cooldown in the combat itself before foe's first attack. And finally, if foe's attack can trigger their special, and if Tiki has got 5 more resistance than the foe, then she can actually increase the special cooldown count of the foe before their first attack in the combat itself. Tiki also has an exclusive slot B skill which needs her to be above 25% HP, and if that condition is met, then she can inflict -5 attack and resistance debuff on the enemy during the combat, and it also has Dragon Wall built into it. And finally, at start of combat, if she's got more than 40% HP, then she can deny foes follow-up attack. So she's a blue infantry mage who's an earth legendary unit, and she's got her preferred weapon, Spirit Forest Writ. So this is a 14 might legendary weapon which has got effective damage against all kinds of dragons, and it also provides her with -1 special cooldown, and if she's within 3 spaces of an ally, then she can inflict -6 attack and resistance on the opponent during the combat, and she can also get guaranteed follow-up attack out of this condition, and she also disables any kind of adaptive damage of the opponents. So if she's got more visible resistance than the opponent, then she can deal debuffs to their attack and resistance, 80% of that difference. And then she's got her preferred special, Circlet of Balance. So she can deal damage based on 40% of her resistance. And then she's got Miracle built into the special. So overall, Deirdre is a pretty powerful mage, and she can be a really good Dragon Slayer with that base 43 attack. We already know her stats, so having that high of an attack stat, and she also has base 43 resistance to go with it, which is really good. I decided to just use allied swords so that she can at least support her allies, and I'm also going to be using Dimitri in a really offensive and aggressive way with my Gale Force team. I can just start by disabling the Oath Force skill of Erica, and the Sabotage debuff is really good. I want to draw her out because then she's not going to be getting the extra attack and defense from her Slothian Sacred Seal. So here, all of the support is going to be helping me quite a lot. Luna is going to be doing 38 damage, which is quite a bit. Here she's going to get danced, but she's going to die, so that's not a problem. Dagger is still going to be doing not very high damage, and Fallen Drea is just amazing as a near save, so I should be able to just take care of these 2 dragons over here. Just getting one shot by her iceberg. We can just get the final pot, attack Hector, and just take him out with Rhea. So that is save tanking against a pretty strong team with far save Duma and near save Brave Hector. So we're good to go, and now I can just go in and attack. Yep, so that is going to be easy kill, and now I can simply get the Brave hit. So I can just go ahead and take out this Otter here, and then trap Thracier, go over here, do that. I want to make sure that I can trigger Gale Force with my Thor, so I'm going to be attacking Duma, and then I can just take out Edelgard and pretty much take out Veronica and go from there. So let's get the final pot and then take out Thracier with Dimitri, our bonus unit. With Elemine, it's really important to identify the main threat to your team and then false start them. I've seen this in my defense replays as well, that a lot of people just use Elemine like she's Flame, just for that damage reduction and not even for the false start. So here I'm gonna be doing exactly that, and I'm gonna be shutting down the open domain of Asker so that these units don't get extra stats out of Resonant Shields and Resonant Blades, and Asker himself is not able to pre-charge his Bonfire. But it's not gonna be a problem whatsoever. Yep, Demetrius is gonna get one shot. Does not do much true damage. Asker is also gonna get one shot. So not letting his open domain be active was really helpful. And Hector also is gonna get destroyed. Innes actually lived that because of Sturdy Impact, which is definitely pretty surprising. So that was definitely a pretty interesting team with Asker being used on defense. Oh wait, this is EU. Yeah, I do know him. So he does have Life and Death, double Life and Death with Speed Preempt, Max Investment Sonia. Definitely pretty impressive. And as weird as that sounds, I actually do want Panic on my Thor. And now I can start the Gale Force. I can smite Thor. And then again Smiter with Dimitri onto this heavy trap, which was actually real. Now, the good thing about Panic Manor here is that Thor's attack is debuffed to the point where she can actually not one-shot this Guntra, which is really good because I can just trigger my Gale Force right over here. So I can just get my Gale Force off, which is really great. And then Eldigan can teleport and just take out the Sonia and get the Gale Force off as well. And then I can also take out this Duo Nina pretty easily with the Brave Lance. And then Regan can simply take out Crom, and then we can just have Regan trapping Winter Lissa. I have got both of the pots, and I did ask him. He is immune at the moment, so he's not really going to be losing any kind of lift from this. So now I can just finish off Lissa with Thor.